Alright, so we're back again, and continuing with the board game videos, I figured I'd show you this one. So this is a classic. This is Risk from 1959. Look at that. Look at that. We got Risk from 1959, everybody. And we're definitely going to have some fun with this one. Now, the cool thing about Risk is that as far as board games go, this one is really simple and easy to learn and play, so it makes it a lot more accessible, right? I personally like that because the more people you can have play with you, the better, right? So it is just kind of nice to look at the old box because Risk has changed a lot over the years, but this is the OG Risk. This is where it all started. My camera kind of sucks. I'm sorry, guys. I'll get a new webcam. I'm working on the channel. We recently got like a converter so we can run video games on the TV. A capture card, right? We got that. I think that's what it's called. It's called a capture card. So I'm working on equipment. It just takes time. You know. You know how it is. Look at the rules. Look at that, man. Rules of play for the Parker Brothers Continental game of Risk. And of course, being a YouTube channel entirely based on instruction manuals, this will immediately be scanned and uploaded. Oh man. Let's see what the first board looked like. Oh, look at that. Look at that. You can tell by the size of Europe that they went with the Mecrador projection. I believe I'm pronouncing that, saying that right. Forgive me. It's been a little while since I've been to school. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a kind of map projection that, and I probably pronounced it wrong, that vastly distorts the size of Europe to make it way larger than it actually is. And for some reason, we all use that map. They clearly went to town with that one. But, man, it does still look pretty cool. So I kind of like looking at the OG map. I like how personally they've got the exclamation mark next to the name of the game. Just adds a little bit of spice. And, they got the numbers for the continent bonuses down here on the border, just in case you forget while you're playing. I like those little memory devices they add. I wonder, yeah, oh, look, it's on all the corners of the board, so no matter what side of the table you're sitting on, you'll remember what your bonus is if you get a continent. And I personally love this happy whale. He's just chilling. He's a happy whale. You gotta have that on the map. The whale on the map is iconic. It really makes the game. And it was a nice touch that they added these dolphins and this ship down here. So this is pretty cool. The map is beautiful. If you're a fan of old maps, you'll definitely want to pick yourself up a copy if you can find one. I know that it's very old and getting hard to find now, but I like having these old things around. Over here we got the pieces and all the OG stuff. So you can see that the pieces for this are different than in pretty much any other Risk game you'll probably have ever played. Because for the first game, the pieces were actually made of wood. Isn't that incredible? They had little wooden cube pieces. So that's your infantry or your armies or whatever. They're actually represented by these cubes. And then over here, I think, is where they have, like, if you have 10 armies, you get one of these, right? Yeah, that's right. You got 10 armies, you don't get a cube. You get a rectangle. Now we're talking. Look at this. So this is pretty cool. I must say, this is stunning and beautiful. I love the inside the case here. It really looks nice. And it's interesting to think that the artwork on the inside of the case here inspired the pieces that they would use in later editions of the game, because in the later editions, of course, the cannon's 10, the horse is 5, and the guy's 1. So I like to think that the artwork inside of the box actually inspired what they did later. And you can tell by these dice that, this baby's old. It's even got a little thing that opens up there. That's old. Like, you can kind of see anybody out there who owns a Super Nintendo, you know how it kind of yellows with time? The same thing is happening with the white parts of the dice here, right? They start to yellow with time. So that is a really nice touch, and there's just something about that, you know, it's hard to put into words how you could appreciate that, but that's really cool. And then we got the cards for the game. And they come in this little box here. And I've done my best to preserve it over the years, but you know how it is with old stuff, right? Let's see if I can open it. And you just try not to damage it, right? You do your best, you know. But obviously, like, because we're playing with this stuff, you know, it's not going to be like 100% mint condition. I mean, I could keep it in its wrapping if I wanted to, like if I was a collector, but then we would never get to play anything. So then look at this, unless I had 2 copies, but getting 1 copy's hard enough, let alone 2. Because I work at a store, I work at a grocery store. Yeah, I'm not some millionaire banker, so I can't like just buy hundreds of copies of Risk. I just got 1, and I take care of it. So this is Alberta. Look at that. Look at the card for Alberta. What other cards do we have in here? It's like Alaska. Oh, now I could sit here all day and show you all the cards, but I think you get the idea. Basically, what we should do is we should just play the game, and then I'll show you this baby in action. But it is just nice to see it again, you know. It's a piece of history. I mean, really, when you think of board games, most people think of Monopoly or Risk. So it is nice to see this again. And one day we'll get an old copy of Monopoly on the channel. You just got to give me a little bit of time is all, you know. Let me go to work and make some savings. And then I can spend a little bit on the channel. Get a copy of Monopoly in here. It might be kind of nice. But for now, we got this sweet copy of Risk. And I have good childhood memories of Risk. Actually, I specifically remember there was this cottage that my grandfather had. His name was Ed. I believe his name was Ed. We didn't see him very often, but he had this like cottage or something out far away. I don't know where it was now. And he had a copy of Risk there. So like my first experience of playing this game, I believe my mom and my dad were there. And it was a pretty fun time, right? And my mom would always pick the pink pieces. You know, my mom would always pick the pink ones. And then she would go for Australia in the corner. Like, she tried to get the continent bonus in the corner. So it was a pretty good time. Oh, I remember those days, right? I've never actually seen anybody get all of Asia, but I've seen people try and fail. Because Asia's the biggest continent bonus, but it's hardest to get. And then South America is another safe choice, you know, if you like to play like my mom, with the continent bonus in the corner. North America, I think that my dad went for North America because you get 5 and you only have to guard 3 doors. So there's some different play styles I've picked up over the years, and we'll have fun trying them out on the channel. Bye for now.